We are at war. Israeli PM Benjamin Netanyahu declared after Saturday morning saw a relentless barrage of rockets launched by Hamas into southern and central Israel, marking one of Gaza's largest assaults in years. Here are 5 videos that show the surprise attack on Israel.
شباب سرايا القدس المظفرة.
Friends, welcome to the Sheep Get Sheared podcast, home of people, politics, and popular culture. I'm your host, the one and only Austin Creed, and this is going to be a really tough show. I'm going to get that just out of the way immediately, because this is going to... When I first saw this happen a couple days ago, I was initially going to put out a video about this conflict, but I decided against it, because it was a very I deleted the recording. I got rid of it. It's probably around here somewhere, but I got rid of it because it was a very emotional take, and I'm not usually an emotional man. I'm usually very calculating, and I'm able to keep myself together, and that was not one of those times. Now, initially, look, wherever you stand on this conflict, that's your business. And frankly, if you're for the evisceration of little children, the raping of women, and the taking of Jewish grandmothers, I have nothing to say to you. Because you're a low-life piece of scum and you shouldn't be in my country. As far as I'm concerned. You're a low-life piece of garbage. You belong somewhere in a third world, not the first, as far as I'm concerned. But, look, I'm calling this show, Are the Crusades Coming Back? Now, why would I say a thing like that? There were 8 Crusades that happened, what was it, like 1091 to about 1291? About for almost 200 years, there were about 8 Crusades that happened. Now, the first one was defensive, as the gentleman pointed out early on in the show. The other ones went a little off the rails, and I'm fully willing to admit that. Here's the problem, though. People are trying to tell me right now that this Israel-Hamas conflict is... Some people are trying to tell me, A, that it's Israel's fault, which is nonsense. The second thing they're trying to tell me is that it has nothing to do with religion. Really? No, it's not a religious conflict, really. Well, the gentleman in the second clip, if you want to dignify them with such a distinguishment, when I think they're murderists and they should all die, but did you not hear them shouting Allahu Akbar? Do you know what that means? It means God is good, God is great. That's what it means. So if it's not religious, why are they shouting God is great as they're rounding up Jewish grandmothers, raping their granddaughters, and cutting the heads off of babies? Would you kindly explain to me what part of that has... Apparently it has something to do with their God while they're shouting it, while they're doing all these horrible, disgusting things. They're bringing God into it, not me. And yet people want to sit here and tell me that there's nothing to do with religion. It has everything to do with religion. Just go back to the Crusades. Go back to Muhammad. The original... Oh, you have no idea what contempt I have for Muhammad. He was an evil man. Now, I'm not saying every Muslim is evil. That is not true. That is just frankly untrue. In fact, a lot of them are more moral than most people in the West. This is true. Here's the problem. It is not the individual people who might show splendid qualities. It is the influence of the religion that is destroying Israel, and it is destroying the West. I mean, I could quote Winston Churchill again. I've done it before, and I got all the haters going crazy. Most of them were Muslims telling me how I'm wrong. Go ahead. You're entitled to your own opinion, and you're going to say that because you've been brainwashed to say that because you can't think clearly about it because you haven't let yourself get there, and that's fine. That's your choice. Here's my choice. I'm choosing to say for you on the show right now that I believe that the Crusades will come back, but they won't come back with the swords and the shields like we saw 1,000 years ago. No. It will most likely come in a much worse way. I mean, for goodness sakes, American fleets are already going into the Mediterranean right now. It won't come how it did before. It won't come from the Catholic Church. It will come from a collective movement from the West. And what's going on in Ukraine will pour over into what's going on in the Middle East. If you think for 1 second, and this is purely speculation, I am not breaking any news stories, but if you want to sit here and tell me that Russia has nothing to do with this, you're a fool. Russia has always backed Iran, and Iran gave this operation the green light back in August, according to what I've read. And people want to sit here and tell me that Russia has nothing to do with it. They came out not that long ago about how they don't want Israel to win. They knocked Israel in a very subtle way. He's very smart. Putin's very smart, man. He's a very smart, calculating guy. I gotta give him that. I gotta give credit where credit is due. But let's look at some of these headlines. I want to show you what I'm talking about versus what the mainstream media is talking about. Airstrikes, news, West Bank, failure of U.S. policy. You want to know how this happened? I know a lot of people are still like, how did this happen? How did they drop the ball? How could this possibly have come about? How could this have happened? Well, when you look at what's been going on in Israel, and you look at the left-wing bums and how they've been how they've been causing controversy in the government. Basically, it was the Sanhedrin. The Sanhedrin from back in the day was trying to run the show again, and Netanyahu was like, no, we're not going to let you rule from the bench, and they made a whole deal out of it. And for those of you who want to come at me as an anti-Semite, I'm a Jew, so I take that garbage back where you found it. I'm not listening to it. I'm criticizing everybody. I think everybody deserves. I think what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Here's the problem, though. It was the left wing in Israel that neutered the government and then allowed for this to take place. They dropped the ball on the external affairs because they were so focused on internal struggles and strife. Add that to the fact that their enemies were emboldened by the increasing weakness of the Biden administration, that crooked man, the most corrupt man probably in American history. Most definitely the most corrupt president in the United States history is Joe Biden. He is a corrupt, disgusting, in my opinion, pedophilic man. And he has the nerve to come out here and act like, oh, I support Israel. Oh, I support Israel. Well, where was the support when it came to deterring this? Answer: nowhere. You are nowhere to be found. You're probably taking a vacation so you could store away something else or to lick ice cream, you bum. Or try to find more ways to finagle your way into running again and winning legitimately. I cannot believe this. And then they want to... Here's the worst part of it all, alright? Here's the worst part. Is there are people siding with these vicious radical Muslim murderers named Hamas. They hear them shouting Allahu Akbar, murdering and raping and pillaging and pilfering, and then they support them. They support them! And you know who's supporting them the most? Are people in the LGBTQ plus community. Let me educate some of these morons. Let me explain something to you. Do you know what Sharia law does to people who are LGBTQ plus? No, I am not saying this should happen in America because it should never happen here. But I'm saying it's happening other places right now, like Iran. You know, the ones who sponsored this raid on Israel? Yeah, those people. You want to know what they do to homosexuals? They throw them off of roofs or burn them alive in cages. Look it up if you don't believe me. Look it up. I'm not making this up. And then yet they'll support them. They'll support Palestine, who is basically a puppet of Iran, who is a puppet of Russia. And they have the nerve to tell me that they support Palestine, they support Hamas. Meanwhile, Hamas would slit their throats and throw them down a well for their sexual orientation. But don't tell that to the people who are marching in New York. They might actually be liable to use their brain. It's unbelievable to me. How people are just sowing their own destruction and they don't even see what's going on. And then you have people like Mia Khalifa, of all people, that disgusting harlot, has the nerve to come out here and blame Israel and side with Hamas. Look, I'm not saying that how Israel has treated certain prisoners is okay. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is this. The same people who supported Ukraine are now not supporting Israel. Not all of them, but I hear them in the media. They talk about how they're wringing their hands like, well, I don't know how this happened. And the same people who are like, yeah, knock off those Russians, they're evil, are the same people who are wringing their hands about what Hamas is doing to Israel. Their priorities are all out of whack. And then you have Canada. This is not a new thing, but I want to bring it up because it ties into the increasing weakness of the West. You have the Canadian government doing a standing ovation and giving an award to an ex-Nazi who fought against the Russians in World War II. Oh yeah, that happened too, by the way. If you really think that Putin lies about everything, you're wrong. When he talks about how there are Nazis in Ukraine, yes, there are. Who do you think fought against the Russians, you schmuck? Who fought the Russians in World War II? I'll wait. Who fought the Russians in World War II? I'll wait. And people want to rewrite history, and this is my response.
Stop lying!
I don't understand what's going on in the world right now. It's unbelievable to me how people get away with this. Let's move on to the next thing. Here's why I bring up the Crusades. For those of you who are probably confused as to why I would bring up the Crusades at a time like this. Well, unbelievable to me, but here we go. Here it is. The Crusades. What were they? For those of you who are know-nothings and don't know history, here it is. The Crusades were organized by Western European Christians after centuries of Muslim wars of expansion. Their primary objectives were to stop the expansion of Muslim states, which is most of what the Middle East is, to reclaim for Christianity the Holy Lands, Israel, Jerusalem, for the Middle East, and to recapture territories that had been formerly been Christian. So, for those of you who don't know history, and I'll let good old Austin Creed will educate you. North Africa, Egypt, the Middle East as a whole, and Europe was all Christian. Pretty much, without exception. Especially the Middle East and North Africa and Egypt. Christianity, Jesus lived in Israel. Do I need to remind people the most basic facts? He was called Jesus of Nazareth. Nazareth was a province of the then Roman Empire. It was part of Judea, which was a province of then the Roman Empire, which is what modern day Israel is now. And so those areas, shortly after Jesus' ministry and his ascension to heaven, were Christian. Muhammad himself, the founder of Islam, was surrounded by Christians, and he hated them as much as he hated the Jews. And after Muhammad's death, if you had asked the people at that time during Muhammad's life, where they feared the conquest, they feared it from the Mongols. They feared it from these steppe areas, what was now modern day Russia, Mongolia. They feared them. But out of nowhere came the Muslims, the Muslim hordes, they call it the Semites. The Muslims came out of nowhere, conquered Egypt, laid siege to North Africa and Spain. Conquered, and everywhere they took the sword, their scripture followed. They burned the Alexandria library. They set fire to 2/3 of the Christian world in a very short period of time. So the Catholic Church retaliated because of all the oppression and this devastation they left in their wake. Do I really need to go down history? How do people not know this? Answer: because they don't want to teach it to you, because it's insensitive to Muslims. Apparently it's offensive to teach people actual history, I guess. Like I said, I'm not saying that all Muslims are evil. That is not true. What I'm saying is it is the religion who calls for the killing or converting of infidels, non-believers, which is what led them to conquest, and it's still happening now. It's still happening now. And they especially hate Christians and Jews. Read the Quran. I've read the Quran. I know what it says. And don't try to sit here and tell me that I'm lying about this, because you know better. Don't come at me with that garbage. I have everything to lose and nothing to, and very little to gain by telling you this. I fully expect this video to get attacked left, right, and center because I'm telling you the truth. I'm not sugarcoating it. I'm not wringing my hands. I'm not making excuses. I'm giving you history and facts and trying to provide a big picture, which is more than what most people are capable of, much less will actually do. This is a religious conflict all over again, and it is sad and it makes me sick that people don't see that this could become another crusade if the West becomes involved yet again in this holy war, where the Muslims are trying to retake Jerusalem like they had it about 1,000 years ago. My friends, I could go about this, I could talk circles around this for a long time. But I think you get my point, and this is why I'm saying that's why I'm asking the question: are the Crusades coming back? Is the Ninth Crusade happening, or is it on the precipice of happening? Please let me know what you think in the comment section below, or you can head on over to Twitter and hit me up on Sheep Get Sheared. Follow me over there. I'll be posting more about this as we see what happens. Please pray for Israel. I want them to win, but I'm not convinced that the Israelis will be able to triumph over this as easily as people think they might. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. Please be praying for Israel during this dark and horrible time. Take care of yourselves. I'm out of here. Peace.